go ahead and dive into um, this week coming up, week 3. Again, like I said, tonight we have the Tennessee Titans at Jacksonville. Jalen Ramsey could be leaving Jacksonville. He's active right now. If they want to trade him, I don't know why you want to activate him. I would kind of sit him down in case he gets hurt, because if he gets hurt, there's no trade value whatsoever. The 0-2 Bengals will travel to Buffalo to play the 2-0 Buffalo Bills, who are off to a great start. In fact, the Bills could be 3-0 coming into next week against the Patriots, who may also be 3-0. The Dallas Cowboys will host the 0-2 Miami Dolphins. And like I said, Josh Rosen will make his first start, as he will start, not Ryan Fitzpatrick. The Green Bay Packers will host the 0-2 Denver Broncos. That should be a game to watch. The 1-1 Falcons against the 1-1 Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis. Here's a good game, guys. Sunday afternoon, you have the 2-0 Ravens at the 2-0 Chiefs. That should be an interesting football game. Two high-powered offenses going against each other. The Oakland Raiders travel to Minnesota to play the Vikings. Both teams are 1-1. The Jets come to Foxborough injury-riddled. I could see another blowout like we had last week against the Dolphins. I could see that very happening. The Jets are down to their third-string quarterback. It's going to be a long uphill path for the Jets. The other 1 o'clock game, guys, is the 1-0-1 Detroit Lions heading to Lincoln Financial Field to play the 1-1 Philadelphia Eagles. That'll be an interesting game to see. The 4 o'clock games will have Cam Newton, who may or may not be starting, against Kyler Murray and his Cardinals. The 0-2 Panthers travel to Arizona to play the 1-1 Cardinals. And the other 4 o'clock game, guys, is here in my area in Tampa. You have the 0-2 Giants against the 1-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Bucs have a chance to go 2-1 if they could stay off and stay away from making the mistakes. The Houston Texans travel to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. The Saints now go to Seattle without Drew Brees, and that's going to be a tough game. Seattle's one of the toughest places to play in the NFL. The Pittsburgh Steelers will travel to San Francisco, so it's 0-2 versus 2-0. That should be an interesting game without Roethlisberger. The 2-0 Los Angeles Rams travel to Cleveland to play the 1-1 Browns. That's the Sunday night game. And the Monday night game, guys, is the 1-1 Chicago Bears traveling to our nation's capital to play the 0-2 Washington Redskins. Is there any games out there, guys, that you're looking forward to seeing? Looking forward to. Again, me being that. Guys, by the way, that's my medicine. I'm taking it as I do my show again. Guys, I apologize. And I know I've said this a couple of times already. I do have a cold, or I have allergies, and my voice is not 100% tonight, so I apologize. But that's my medicine that I'm taking because I can't swallow pills. So it's in my cup. I'm trying to drink it as I do my show here. But guys, the games to me to watch, and they, I think the Giants and Bucs game should be interesting. Seeing Daniel Jones for the first time. Kansas City and Baltimore definitely is a game that I'll want to see. Other than that, there's not really – there's a lot of football out there, guys. I'm not trying to diss on anybody's team. Please don't take that or anything like that. I'm not trying to say that because I didn't say your game was important. They're all important, guys. If you're a fan of a team and you've been a fan, for your whole life, then stick with it. Don't give up on your team because you never know what might happen. They may not be a good team this year. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be a good team in the future or anything like that. Because you know what? After a while, you can't suck forever. As they say, you can't be bad forever. You can't suck forever because sooner or later you'll get the right coach and the right combination of players, and you'll be able to turn your season around or turn your franchise around, at least for a little while, moving forward. And that's being optimistic, but that's just the way I am when it comes to sports. You got to make sure that you don't buy into some of this stuff. You got to just keep going with everything and stuff like that. So there's my NFL review, guys, for the week, going through that. Let me check the college football scoreboard from last week. The top 25 games here. Let's see, top 25 college scoreboard. Let's see. And we want college scoreboard from last week. Let's see here. ESPN. There are some good college football games this week, guys. Wisconsin and Michigan at noon. That's going to be a good classic Big Ten game. So any of my Big Ten fans out there, you guys, that's going to be a game to watch. That's an important game. The night game between the Fighting Irish and Georgia. That's going to be another good football game this week. That'll be a good football game as well to watch. The USF Bulls are off this week, guys. We don't play again until next Saturday, the 24th. We'll be hosting the SMU Mustangs at Raymond James Stadium. I will, of course, be there. Kickoff is at 4 o'clock. I'll be there reviewing the game for NGSC Sports. I'll have the article up. I get it posted. I want to thank Ralph for giving me the opportunity to do game reviews, and he's taught me a lot of things in my writing, but that's that. Let me see, guys. Let me pull up the scoreboard from last week for college football. And then I'm going to go ahead, guys, and get into my college football stuff. That's why I kind of did the NFL first. I do have some notes for college football. I'll start with the scouting for 2020, and then I'll go into the biggest disappointments. I'll talk about Tiger. I'll talk about Kovalev, Canelo, and Kovalev. I'll talk about Nate Diaz. Then I'm going to talk about the Lightning before I go into my talk with my man John Blaine about WWE's Clash of Champions. So I'm going to go ahead and check that out, guys. Was there anything out there, guys, that jumped out to you in college football or pros that you saw? There is a rumor that they're trying to pass a bill to allow students to be paid. I don't know what you guys' opinion is on that. This, guys, is just the top 25. Last week, the Washington State Cougars defeated the Houston Cougars 31-24. The number one team in the country. Clemson won 41-6. They carried. Excuse me, guys. If I sneeze, I apologize. They won 41-6 in the Carrier Dome. Alabama beat South Carolina 47-23. The Georgia Bulldogs beat Arkansas State 55-0. LSU beat Northwestern State 65-14. I still think that might be the team that upsets Alabama this year is LSU. Oklahoma will have a bye week this week. They beat UCLA 48-14. Ohio State took it to Indiana 51-10. The Fighting Irish will have a big game against Georgia this Saturday night. They won 66-14 over New Mexico. The Auburn Tigers won 55-16 over Kent State. The Florida Gators hung on to win, even losing Felipe Franks for the season. They won 29-21 over Kentucky. The Kyle Trask era is beginning in Florida this upcoming week as they will host the Tennessee Volunteers. Utah, guys, who I picked to win the Pac-12 this year, won 31-0 over Idaho State. Texas beat Rice 48-13. The Penn State-Pittsburgh game, I know my man Michael Adams is out there. That was a closer game than I think a lot of us had. Pitt has to go to UCF this week. That's going to be a rough uphill battle to try to keep the Knights down. Oregon won 35-3 over Montana. Texas A&M beat Lamar 62-3. UCF beat Stanford 45-27. Arizona State upset Michigan State 10-7. Iowa outskirted Iowa State 18-17. Temple upset number 21 Maryland 20-17. Boise State continues their undefeated season. They beat Portland State 45-10. The Huskies of Washington, beat Hawaii 52-20. BYU upset USC 30-27. That's the second week in a row that BYU has beat somebody. They beat Tennessee a week ago. And the game that I think everyone had on their map as far as the Florida State fans go, they would fall to the Cavaliers 31-24. That game, guys, was back and forth all the way through. What are my predictions for Michigan, Wisconsin? Ooh, Tyler, that's a good question. I'll tell you what, I saw Wisconsin in person here 2 weeks ago when they just absolutely hammered USF. And again, Tyler, I'm not comparing USF to Michigan by no means when I say that, because they're not in any level. But to me, it's going to be a tight game. If Michigan can stop Wisconsin's running game, then they got the game won, and they're going to have to score some points. Patterson's going to have to stay away from making mistakes if the Wolverines are going to beat them. That's going to be a tough thing. I think it's going to be a close game, but I see the Badgers just pulling it out just by a little bit, maybe a point, maybe a field goal, but it's going to be close. And you know what? Michigan may pull off an upset. That's a tough game to pick. Really, really, honestly, that's one of the tough games to pick this week. So I have Wisconsin just barely by a little bit. Okay, guys. Let me get into a scouting notebook by Matt Miller. This is, as they call, we were just talking about tanking a little while ago. This is the crop that he said is worth tanking for. Tank for Tua and suck for the duck. Now we all know who the duck is. But again, here's the players that he has. Of course, we have the kid out of Alabama, Tua, who is going to be a great quarterback. Actually, I see us losing too. Yeah, they have played sloppy, and they're lucky they beat Army. I'm going to say that about Michigan. They're lucky they beat Army. So, yes, I will have to say that as well. Tua, again, guys, is one of those talents that's going to come out of college and hopefully make a big splash. It says here that he's going to be overthought. Or I said he's got that Drew Brees, Steve Young ability. Just drop the ball into the right spot. Of course, the Duck, guys, is, of course, Justin Hubert, the quarterback for the Oregon Ducks. He's another one that's a hot prospect moving in. They said if it takes one team to fall in love with a quarterback, perhaps the Bengals head coach can believe he's the next Jared Goff. So that's what they're – again, this is all Matt Miller's quotes, guys. I'm not doing this. The rest of the best, Jordan Love is one of them that's listed down as well. Jake Fromm from the Georgia Bulldogs is listed. Linebacker Marcus Bailey. Sorry, wait a minute. Top senior linebacker. Maybe wants to enter okay, so he's going in there. Walker Little out of Stanford. He's an offensive tackle. Quarterback Jake Brantley from this South Carolina is on here. Florida star cornerback C.J. Henderson is definitely on the list as far as guys that need defensive players. He's got the big board. He's got Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama, the wide receiver. Chase Young, the edge rusher out of Ohio State. AJ Espinita, the edge rusher out of Iowa. Tua, as I've already mentioned. Jeff Okudah, the cornerback out of Ohio State. Grant Delpit, the safety out of LSU. DeAndre Swift's a great running back out of Georgia. Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson. T. Higgins, the wide receiver out of Clemson. I've already mentioned C.J. Henderson. Jonathan Taylor, who I got to see head first, the running back out of Wisconsin. He's very tough to bring down. Kovan Chasson, the edge rusher from LSU. And I apologize if I'm pronouncing that name wrong. Andrew Thomas, the offensive tackle for the Georgia Bulldogs. C.D. Lamb, the wide receiver from Oklahoma. Travis Etienne, the running back from Clemson. Lavasque Chanat Jr., the wide receiver out of Colorado. And they made a big thing about him today that he is the next Julio Jones. That's what was said today. Justin Hubert, I already mentioned him. Tristan Wirfs, the offensive tackle out of Iowa. Kristen Fulton, cornerback out of LSU. Dylan Moss, the linebacker out of Alabama. Henry Ruggs, the third wide receiver out of Alabama. Julian Aquila, the edge rusher from Notre Dame. Yatir Gross Matos, the edge rusher from